I welcomed my son's friend into our home after his parents rejected him, a choice that ultimately preserved my life. At 45, I never imagined that offering shelter to my son's friend would prove to be a life-saving decision. Yet life has a way of unfolding in unexpected ways. Reflecting now, 6 months later, I see how countless small moments paved the way for that pivotal night. It began on a chilly March evening when my son returned from school with his closest friend, visibly more distressed than ever before. They'd been inseparable since middle school, the kind of bond where they completed each other's thoughts and spent every weekend playing video games in our basement. Tide always viewed his friend as another son, especially after my wife's passing 2 years ago. The boy was practically a fixture in our home. So when he stood in our living room that evening, struggling to hold back tears while clutching a backpack with all his belongings, I already knew my response. My son, voice trembling with a mix of frustration and worry, explained the situation. His friend's parents had cast him out after he revealed his truth at dinner. It hadn't gone well. There was shouting, demands to conform, and an ultimatum. Fit in or leave. He chose self-respect over pretense, packed what he could amid the chaos, and left. My son found him on a bench near their school, scrolling through his phone, searching for a place to go. The boy couldn't meet my gaze as my son recounted the story. He stared at our faded living room rug, shoulders slumped as if trying to disappear. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. "I can crash on the couch, sir, just until I sort things out." I didn't hesitate. I told him he could stay in our guest room for as long as necessary. The relief on their faces tugged at my heart. No young person should ever fear losing a safe place to rest. The first few weeks required adjustments for all of us. Since my wife's battle with cancer ended, it had just been my son and me. We'd settled into a routine of quiet dinners, weekend movie binges, and frequent takeout, as neither of us inherited my wife's culinary talents. Having another person in the house shifted things, but it was a welcome change. The boy was courteous, pitching in with chores unprompted, and I could see how much it lifted my son's spirits to have his friend close. He insisted on contributing, so he began preparing dinner on nights I worked late. He'd learned recipes from his late grandmother, and suddenly our kitchen felt warm and alive again. He'd leave meals in the microwave for me with notes on how to reheat them. Sometimes I'd come home to find both boys passed out on the couch, textbooks sprawled across their laps, clearly having stayed up despite my instructions to rest. What I didn't realize then was that this teenager's presence would save my life just 6 weeks later. I run a small construction business, which often means late nights handling paperwork after the crew leaves. That night in May, I stayed later than usual finalizing critical project bids. It was nearly 1 a.m. when I pulled into the driveway. I felt exhausted but accomplished, confident we'd secured a contract to keep my team busy through summer. Then it hit. A sharp pain in my chest that made me clutch the steering wheel. I thought it was just indigestion from the fast food I'd eaten earlier. I made it inside, but the pain intensified, spreading across my chest like a heavy weight. I stumbled toward the kitchen for water, hoping to shake it off. Then my legs buckled. I hit the floor hard, pain shooting down my left arm. The cold tile pressed against my face as I struggled to breathe, each breath feeling like sipping air through a straw. My vision blurred and panic set in. My phone was still in the truck, left behind with my paperwork. Then I heard footsteps descending the stairs. My son's friend, always a light sleeper from years of bracing for tension in his parents' home, had been woken by the sound of my fall. He found me sprawled on the kitchen floor, instantly recognized the signs of a heart attack, and acted with astonishing calm. As he dialed 911, he propped me into a sitting position and fetched aspirin from the bathroom. He stayed composed, talking to keep me conscious. "Hang in there, we still need to finish that racing game," he said, or "My cooking's not that awful, right?" Using humor to keep me grounded while we waited for help. My son, a heavy sleeper, was oblivious to the crisis unfolding downstairs. The paramedics arrived swiftly, though it felt like an eternity. They later said the quick call and aspirin likely spared my heart severe damage. If I'd been alone, if the boy hadn't been so alert, if he hadn't known what to do, I might not be here now. The hospital days were a haze of tests, medications, and concerned faces. My son was shaken, having already lost his mother. The fear of losing me kept him glued to my side. His friend took charge at home, contacting my sister to manage the business temporarily, and even reaching out to my son's teachers for assignment extensions. Recovery was tough, but having 2 teenagers looking after me made it manageable. They alternated bringing meals, ensuring I took my meds, and driving me to cardiac rehab when I was cleared. My son's friend was especially diligent, checking on me each night and morning. He downloaded health apps and insisted on teaching us how to use them. The real turning point came 2 weeks ago, 4 months after the heart attack. The boy's parents showed up unexpectedly. They'd had time to reflect and wanted him back. Word of my heart attack had reached them through mutual acquaintances, making them rethink what truly matters. The mother's eyes were red from crying, and the father seemed weary, quieter than I recalled, but the boy wasn't ready to return. He looked at me, then my son, and told his parents he was content where he was. He'd forgive them, but he needed proof of change, not just guilt-driven promises. His father started to argue, but stopped when he saw his son stand tall, unshaken. Seeing how their son had matured, how he'd saved a life, gave them pause. We're now navigating a compromise. He stays with us during the week for school and spends weekends with his parents, gradually mending their bond. His parents are attending support group meetings, a step they took on their own. It's not ideal, but it's progress. Last night I overheard the boys in the kitchen preparing dinner. My son thanked his friend again for saving me. His friend's response struck deep. "You guys gave me a home first. Before that night, I didn't know what a family could be." I'm sharing this not for advice or praise, but to show how those we help can transform our lives in unimaginable ways. My doctor said the swift response that night made all the difference. Now I'm healthy, with a larger family than I ever anticipated, to parents struggling to accept their children. Life is fleeting. You never know when you'll need them, or they you. Don't let stubbornness or bias rob you of knowing the incredible people your kids are becoming. And to anyone facing rejection or fearing it, it gets better. There are people who will embrace you for being you. Thank you for the kind words and support. For those asking about a college fund for the boy, it's already set up. The money I'm saving on medical costs is going toward his future. Both boys are headed to State University next fall. They both got in, and there was no question of them attending different schools. His parents know about the fund, and it helped them see how committed we are to being his second family. They've started contributing too, an unexpected but welcome sign of how far we've come. As for my wife, I believe she'd be proud. She always said our house had too many empty rooms. Thank you for reading. If you found this story moving, please consider subscribing, liking, or sharing it with others who might connect with it. Your support means the world. If you have thoughts, questions, or story ideas, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until the next story,